Hello, welcome to this Halloween edition of Willsmere tour, but this is going to be a bit of a history. I have got notes so I don't forget anything. So construction of the Kew Asylum began in 1864 and it was completed in 1872. Designed by architects in the Public Works Department, Frederick Cowrow and G.W. Vivian. The main construction period for the E-shaped complex was between 1868 and 1872. The architecture is in the Italianate style and a central tower over here with mansard roofs. Before the construction of Kew Asylum, many residents voiced against the asylum. They didn't want it to be built. They wanted the asylum to be built way out into the countryside. So this is the largest one in Victoria, and it's the sister asylum of Ararat and Beechworth. Also during the 19th century, just a few seconds from the asylum, we saw the 1887 construction of the former Kew cottages, which is neighbouring. It's a few seconds from here. Through the 19th century, Kew Asylum was said to cure patients due to being elevated land on a hill, thought to help cure mental illness. In the later years, due to name changes, Kew was known as Hospital for the Insane, Kew Mental Hospital, and later Willsmere Hospital. An undercover Julian Thomas, he was a vagabond, known writer of the famous Vagabond papers in Melbourne, got an undercover position as an attendant and would see the lives of daily patients where he witnessed the harsh reality of the daily running of Kew Asylum, from daily routine and bathing days being only every Friday. The diet at the asylum was usually overcooked beef served to attendants and also tea and bread. Simple, not a great diet for patients. Julian Thomas also witnessed an attendant carrying out a routine thrashing of a patient who was laying in bed, and would see the violence that some of the attendants would use on patients, and also would see when a patient would lash out attendants in a state of mania or anger. On August 30th, 1879, a patient named Edward de Lacy Evans was transported to Kew Asylum from the Bendigo Hospital, where he was brutally stripped naked on Kew Asylum's bath on admission policy. Soon enough, the attendants discovered Edward was a woman and dressed him in petticoats. Such a heartbreaking event for a man trans man, whose dignity was stripped away that day at Kew Asylum. By February 1881, Evans applied for admission to a benevolent asylum and was sent to the Melbourne Immigrants Home on St Kilda Road. Evans resided there until his death 20 years later on August 25th, 1901. Another patient, Billy Midwinter, was admitted to Kew Asylum in 1889. Midwinter's wife and two of his children had died as businesses failed. He became hopelessly insane and confined to Bendigo Hospital in 1890 before being transferred to the Kew Asylum, where he died later that year. The history of Kew Asylum has a dark and checkered past. In later years, the asylum became known as Willsmere Hospital and the Willsmere Unit, which attended to the health of geriatric patients. And due to the ongoing world of reform and closing of the mental institutions, they closed the doors of Willsmere in 1988. The Victorian government then sold the decommissioned hospital complex, and Willsmere was converted to apartments, but retaining a ward museum, the bluestone cells, and the original ha-ha walls, which prevented the patients from escaping from a very long ago time of past. So, as you know right now, here we are at Willsmere. We've got the tower in the background, and I'm also going to show you a few other parts of this incredible complex. This is part of Melbourne and Victoria history. So where we're standing today is a very important part of the mental health history of Victoria and Australia. So we're just lucky we're here, aren't we, for a weekend. So it's really a peaceful place now, a far far cry from what it was. There was a lot of pain and anguish, and now you see running dogs, children, people living here. So let's take a tour of the place, yeah? And thank you everyone for joining me on this Halloween edition of Willsmere, the former Kew Asylum.